So more than 60 nations require their GM food to be labelled so that consumers know what they are buying. Now, in contrast, in the US, they do not label GM food, and it has been for years that they are opposing other nations' effort to do so. Like many of the other countries feel that US, you're a big country, you're doing well economically. How come you're not even labeling your GM food? Why? So there's this kind of tension around. I'll tell you a bit more. So if you do not label, there's less information about the GM content of the food, right? Then the European people and the citizens of nations like even China, the BRICS countries, Saudi Arabia, Russia, they all have the label, but US no, right? And this is in contrary to the fact that the polls, people's opinion, they want their food to be labeled. The Americans, most of them want. The consumers want that. So the proponents of the labeling of GM argue that the consumers have a right to know what is in the food they buy. But the opponents of labeling says that if we label, that means that it gives people the perception that GM food is unsafe. But it's not the case. It is research show that it is not harmful. But if you label it, it translates to a cognitive understanding that this food might be harmful because I put the label. See, label, be careful. So you see this slide here, you recognize some of the structures. As a chemistry major, it might be good for you to know what their names are, recognize them. So first up, we have amino acids. So these are chemicals, common chemicals, top 10 chemicals in fact that's present in the GM food. Now, what is this molecule? I believe all of you will have encountered the name, but the structure you might have forgotten. Not to worry. 2 chiral centers, work it out, the RS. Aspartame, the fake sugar, the sweetener, artificial sweetener, but doesn't taste like sugar at all. We have vitamin C, found in citrus fruits. And what is this? A tribasic acid with alcohol here, tertiary alcohol. What's that? Citric acid, right? Both are found in citrus fruits, lemon, lime, not calcium carbonate. And hey, isn't this similar to the one we saw just now? Recognize vitamin C, but the difference is the O- and A+. So it must be the salt, the conjugate base of vitamin C. So what is that? Sodium ascorbic. Ascorbic acid relates to vitamin C. You might want to ponder why sometimes we have vitamin C, other times we have sodium ascorbate. It's about interactions, about solubility of the food that we are serving. Here, again, a similar compound you saw just now, sodium citrate, conjugate base of citric acid. Is it? No, be very careful. Now, the conjugate base of citric acid, we only have one deprotonated carboxylic acid group, but here we have 3 deprotonations. So these two are not acid-base conjugate, but they're closely related. Now, what is this line here? Don't think it's an error. Line structure, organic chemistry, 2 carbon alcohol, ethanol, right? And next, this is your lactic acid present in the muscles when you have cramps. And lastly, we see a polymer. So N is more than 2 and less than 20 block polymer. Maltodextrins. If you read the food labels in most of the food there, you see maltodextrins. Okay, have a look. So these are common chemicals, top 10 chemicals present in GM food. Not saying that if the food is not GM, it doesn't have it, but GM food most likely will have all these. Employing biotechnology to increase crop yields while reducing environmental impacts is one strategy that can lead towards more sustainable food production. Now, biotech gives us one way that we can make our agriculture more sustainable by modifying aspects within the currently dominant industrial mode. Not that efficient, but the system has been well running over so many years. Now, on the other hand, organic agriculture promotes sustainability by largely rejecting the industrial model. As we have said before, these two models, sustainable and industrial, they're pulling. Okay, it's like a tug of war. Okay, we have a zero-sum game, one win, one lose. By eliminating the impacts of fossil fuel-based chemicals and fertilizers, the organic agriculture reduces the impacts on the land and on the health. So the approaches towards the agriculture that's sustainable, they differ differently. Okay, they have many methods of doing sustainable agriculture, but the aim, we have a common goal there. We are to address the adverse environmental and social impacts. So what are the impacts towards the environment? Soil degradation, the overuse of water, fossil fuel combustion, the loss of crop diversity, the loss of biodiversity, loss of pollinators, overuse of chemical pesticides and fertilizers, and pollution from feedlot and aquaculture operations. So in other ways that we can have sustainable food production, this is good in big countries in the US and France. They have locally supported agriculture. In fact, it is a market that's growing. And if you go to Paris, Germany, or in the UK, most parts of Europe, you'll find the farmers market, very fresh fruit. They buy the meat and the fresh fruits and vegetables in season from local producers. So over this market, it is seasonal. Maybe spring they produce fruit A, winter they produce fruit B, summer they produce fruit C, and in autumn they produce fruit D. So it's always seasonal. It's not like, oh, I must have strawberries the whole year, so I will do whatever synthetic ways to make the environment contrive so that the strawberry can grow. No, okay. Although there are parts of the world that will not then preserve the condition for the plants to grow so that people can enjoy the food they crave. But farmers market, the way they work is they go with the flow of the environment. Whatever the nature facilitate the growth of certain crop, they will do it. They won't go against it. So we have come to the end of this chapter, and by now you should be able to explain the challenges of feeding a growing population, human population in particular, identify the goals, methods, sequences, consequences of the Green Revolution on the biosphere, assessing how we raise animals for food chain. We are part of the food chain, from the sun, the grass, the cattle. Describe the approaches for preserving crop diversity in our biosphere, analyze the nature, growth, potential organic agriculture, environment, describe the science behind GM, genetic engineering, and how it relates to food chain, and evaluate the public debate over the GM food on the environment, and lastly summarize the pathways to sustainable agriculture environment. So all the best to you. I'll see you for the next topic. Cheers.